We're at the last section, just finishing up crud. So there is still update, right, in crud. And basically, you have the same pair with edit and update as you did with new and create. So what's the same? The first action gets the form. The second action actually applies the results of what the user passed in that form. Submit usually uses a redirect, usually redirect to the show action, which shows that new modified item that you just changed. So what's different? Well, first you want to have the existing values inside the form when you're editing it, right? And secondly, you want to use put rather than post. So remember when you talked about methods, the convention is that edit or update goes with put, whereas create goes with post. So let's look at these two snippets. So in your controller, the code for doing edit is you basically just fill in the instance variable movie with the movie that you're about to edit, right? And in update, it looks very similar to the create action, except what you do is you get that movie that you're going to update, and then you update its attributes using update attributes exclamation point, which tells you that it is destructive with the parameters passed in, and then we're using flash here to say the movie was successfully updated, and then we redirect to show. That's pretty straightforward. What does the view look like? Well, the view looks pretty similar to our view for new. This is the view for edit. We have a form tag for that movie, but notice here we're actually explicitly setting the method to put. Like I said, by default it'll be post, but for edit we want to have put. And then you just have your usual stuff and a submit tag. So remember that we filled in at movie with the movie that we actually want to change. So when we say the text field movie, it's actually going to have the text field filled in with that movie's title. Okay, so the last one is destroy. Destroy is very easy. Remember that destroy is an instance method on that particular item. So you have to load the movie up and then you destroy it. Find the movie, let's destroy it, set a notice to be in the flash, and then we go back to the list of movies with a little notice that says that movie was deleted. Pretty straightforward. The instance variable only persists for that request, and that's why you see that when we do the edit action, we load up a movie, and then when we're actually doing the update action, we load up a movie again. The reason for that is exactly this. So let's finish up with some fallacies and things to watch out for. First thing is that it's really easy to fall into the trap of having fat controllers. Controllers are usually the place where you first start writing code, and a lot of times people just put everything in the controller. That's not a good idea. You want to keep your controllers as lean as possible, and we're going to see a lot of techniques for doing that in the coming weeks. The other one, which is really common if you come from the PHP world, is that you want to have fat views. And what that means is you're basically putting all kinds of application logic or model logic into your view. And that's not a good idea either. some examples is, let's have a for loop in our view to do something that probably should be done in the controller or in the model. Another one is, well, let me put the code for sorting the movies into the view. Or let me put a conditional here into the view that says, if the user is logged in, then let's figure out how to sort it based on the user's preferences, and then let's do that sorting. All of that code is living in the view. And that's really against the model of MVC, right? So those go in different places, and you'll see where is the right place to put stuff as you gain more experience and in the upcoming lectures. But the real thing you want to keep in mind is that the controller and the model should do the work. All the view should do is exactly what it does, what its name suggests, which is show you the results of that work. In addition, if we follow these MVC principles, your code will easily be made amenable for service-oriented architecture. So typically, an SOA call will want an XML response or a JSON response. JSON is JavaScript object notation. It kind of looks like YAML, if you've seen that, or just a JavaScript hash, essentially. You can change your controller with a couple lines, actually, if you design your controller correctly, to make it respond properly to a service-oriented request. So for example, if we look at our create action here, we can actually use this respond to and put a block here based on what the client wants. And if the client wants HTML, well, we'll just, do what we would do normally. However, if they want XML, we'll render some XML. So to summarize, Rails really encourages you to put a lot of code into your models so that that code can be reused across your controller methods and your views. You want to have thin views, thin controllers. You also want to keep in mind all of the convention that is in Rails. And that's mostly, that's like half of learning Rails is actually learning the conventions. Those conventions will save you a lot of work. You'll have to write a lot less code, and since the bugs per line of code is constant, we can say that less code means fewer bugs. Finally, debugging is pretty tricky. You should use logging. I showed you how to use the interactive debugger. Sometimes printf or in Ruby puts is sufficient to actually figure out what's going on.